Hi there, it's Anatolii from Schemos here, and today I wanted to talk to you about different technologies and which one better to choose for your project.
This is boring.
I'm leaving now.
And hold on until you leave and think this is boring and why do I need to know that or care about the technology stack and what is out there. I will explain very briefly, we will talk about how to save from 20 to 40% of budget on your project by selecting proper technology stack. I hope that's something interesting, and let's get right into it. So there is a website called Stack Overflow where developers can submit their questions and the other developers answer to them. And that website is used by millions of people across the globe, all developers, testers, all kind of stuff. And they are conducting surveys once a year where they ask different questions about the tech stack and all kind of things, AI trends and things of that nature. But a couple of things that are important to us to understand are like how many developers are using which technologies, that's one. And second one, what are their salaries per year? So they have the stats, and we at Schemos did a little analysis and decided to share them with you. So let's get started with that. And in order to set the stage, we will do a little investigation on what tech stack to choose when you build a new project. And let's say you have a project that you want to do, right? But you don't know which technology to choose for that project, and developers are throwing at you in different companies like super new and overhyped tech stack, like this is like fastest language, whatever, this is the tech stack that everyone uses and you need to do the same, and so on and so forth. And that's natural because from developers' point of view, they like to learn new things. They by nature curious people. They want to be able to use things that they were experimenting with in real projects and understand what the pros and cons of those technologies, even though they might use it already, but they still want to experiment and learn new things, which is understandable, and that's something we all should want to do. But from you as a budget owner, as a person who actually pays for all of it, are you more interested in things to be done quickly and efficiently and on a budget and even with savings if possible? Or do you want people to learn and get the latest, greatest tech stack into your project? That's a question to you, but for me, I would rather go with the expected budget in something that was on the market for a long time than experimenting as you don't know how the project will take off. And to honestly speaking, for probably 90% of the project, it doesn't really matter what tech stack to choose. As long as it does basic stuff, people can use it, it's pretty fast, it's scalable, it doesn't matter what is underlined on that server because the end customer doesn't see it anyway, so they don't really care. And you, for the most of the project, you should not really care about that too. So let's dive into our hypothetical project that we're gonna build with different technologies. I will be taking numbers from that survey that was conducted in July 2023, and we can understand what is better, what is worse from budget only perspective, taking into account that this is some general purpose project that technically all the web, let's say, tech stack works for. It doesn't really make much difference whatever you're going to be using there, right? There are of course exceptions, and in some cases it's really key to pick the correct one that is like just works perfectly for a certain scenario, but in 90%, as I said, usually it doesn't really make that big of a difference. As you will see, the amount you're actually going to spend on it makes a big difference. So let's dive into it. And I will start with the tech stack. We will have 4 web development technologies that are very popular, and we will investigate a couple parameters here. 1, how many developers are actually using it, and 2, what is the average salary of that developer per year. So just for context, this survey was conducted by Stack Overflow, and people that participated in there were all developers, testers from around the globe. And there were 88,000 responses in that survey, so it's pretty big, so you can generalize using that numbers and understand what's going on. So let's start. We will set our tag here, right? And it's gonna be, in our case, JavaScript right? Very popular one and widely used. It's gonna be Python, right? Also popular technology. We're not talking about this all frameworks that can be used with them, just more or less to understand generic trends. Then we have Ruby, also very popular web development language. And then we have PHP, which is like one of the oldest and also widely used on the internet in things like WordPress, WooCommerce, like popular technology, right? So in here, we will have a number, how many devs or percentage of developers that are actually using this technology based off of survey that was conducted, right? So JavaScript is being used by 63% of developers. Then Python is being used by 49% of developers. Ruby is being used by 6% of developers, and PHP is being used by 18% of developers that actually went through this survey, right? So what does it tell us? If we take the general economic, right, like, and just the market rules, the more people are using this technology, the less it should cost, right? Because it's very popular. A lot of people know from around the globe that technology that should, be indicator of something that is widely used and should be cheaper than technologies that are less used, right? So if we look at this, you'll see that 63 and 6% for JavaScript and Ruby is a big difference. So if you think about it critically, most probably this will be more expensive than this one, just because of number of developers that can do something with that technology stack. That's why these numbers are important to understand, because if you, let's say, have the selected tech stack that is, I don't know, 10K a year, right? Very cheap, but there is 0.1% of developers using it, it's going to be very hard to find someone who's going to do that project for you. So we don't want that. We want something that is widely used and popular, so a lot of people can be hired to actually do it, and there is a big competition in that. So then let's review a salary for each of the technology, also based off of survey that was submitted by people on that Stack Overflow website. So the first one is salary, right? And we're talking about yearly salaries, right? So the first one is 74K a year, right? So JavaScript developers on average making $74,000 a year. The next one, Python, is 78. So that's average salary for Python developers in our case. Then Ruby is 98,000 a year, and PHP is $58,000 a year, right? So as we were expecting, more or less, right? Somewhere where it's widely used, right, technology, it's cheaper to actually hire a developer than something that is less used, right? So 98 and 74 is a big difference here already. Let's then do a little math here, and let's assume that our project is 6 months project that we need to do, and we need 3 developers to do that project. And let's calculate how much it would cost us using these different technologies to actually implement our project, right? So it will be 6 months project, month by 3 developers, right? So something not super small, but not super big. 6 months project is, you can do a lot of things in 6 months really with 3 resources. So let's start with JavaScript, right? So JS project will cost us 74 divided by 2, which is 6 months, right? And multiply by 3, and the price will be 111,000 to actually implement it. Then let's take Python, the same thing, right? The same math, Python, and it's gonna be 78,000 here, right? Divide by 2, which is 6 months, multiply by 3, and it's equal 170, right? So 170 here. And then let's take Ruby and do the same math here. and will be what, 98 by 2 by 3, and it's equal 147. 47. Okay, right? And then we will do the PHP, obviously, the last one, and it's 58 by 2 by 3, and it's equal together 87,000, right? 87,000. So as you can see, this is the cheapest option if you take like economic reasoning only, right? Don't go into all the ins and outs of like each technology, just like take the amount based off the survey and then understand what you can do, right? And this becomes the cheaper option. And just for the context to understand how much cheaper it is, that if you compare, let's say if you take 3 JavaScript developers, right, and do the same project as with 3 PHP developers in the 6 months, you will pay 21% more than doing with PHP. So if you choose PHP, you will get 21% based off of data savings on the same project, right? Then if you do Python one, this one, you'll have to spend 25% more if in comparison to PHP, right? And the same logic, if you take Ruby, you will have to actually spend 40% more on that project. And 40% on, 147K is a big money, right? Like, it's a lot. So you can use the budget for marketing, better sales team, whatever you want to do, like market investigation, things like that, right? Product market fit, you can do a lot with a 40% on a budget, right? So as a conclusion, when you trying to start a new project, you don't have to go fancy, right? You don't have to pick whatever developers are selling you or consultants are selling you on the top-notch, best trending new, technologies, because they usually overhype. They usually, for the majority of use cases, not needed, and you can get better off if you just go with the old school, PHP frameworks and PHP technology. You will be able to save good amount of money just by doing that one simple step. I hope this was useful. If you have any comments, questions, you can comment under this video. And if you like it, just put a thumbs up. That will help us to do the new and better content for you. Thank you for your time. Have a good one.